That's the click.
That's the click.
Is that the click?
That's
was
the
the
click.
Oh, sorry. Hey, everybody. I guess I'm here, and we're gonna run the thing. That's okay. Matt doesn't know. Matt doesn't know what he's doing. It's not a big deal.
It's all right. I need a
Hold
better
on.
way
I
to.
gotta.
I should be
There we
off
go.
this. I shouldn't be mic'd anymore. Bye, guys.
What has science
Roxy.
done?
So hey, everybody. I know it's not our normal week, but here we are doing talk of Magicks. So Roxy is on the background running the things. Thanks, Roxy. You're fantastic, and we love you. And John is here to play Bobby Boom Boom Blackwood. And this is our Illuminated Page game. So we're going to be playing Illuminated Page like normal next Thursday, barring any weird things. Who knows? You never know. I don't know. So that should not be a problem. Just something to keep in mind that will still be there next week. But Bobby, you wanted to do something by yourself.
Yeah, I was going to make a horrible mistake on purpose, but I see my character as being very interested in going back and talking to, I think it was the museum curator.
Yeah, Dr. Khafour.
Yeah, and I was going to go see if he would be willing to teach me or train me or at least talk to me away from everybody else.
Okay. I mean, that doesn't sound like a terrible idea that'll get you murdered.
Yeah, no, not at all.
So you are going to slip away from the group, I assume, in the evening after you've gone back to the hotel?
Oh yeah, no, I'll probably leave a note saying where I went.
Okay.
And hide at some place not obvious so that if they come in, they don't just immediately go bursting on me wherever. But yeah, I'll load up my stuff, or I'll be dressed in my normal gear. I'll have my gun under my coat, and away I'll go.
Fantastic. Well, I was looking real quick. I had notes for characters, and now I can't find them, obviously, because that's super helpful. But, so you head back to the museum. It is after closing, but it looks like people are still there and working. Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. You've got you get in just in time before they kind of lock up the doors and head back to Dr. Khafour's office. When you get there, he greets you. He isn't quite dressed to leave, but it's clear that he's getting there. He's really close. He says, "Mr. Blackwood, how may I help you this evening?"
Dr. Khafour, look, I'm just going to try to be very honest here in this. Talking with you seem like you've experienced something similar to what we have. And you seem to have a great deal of knowledge of what all's going on. And a knowledge of something that I have come to understand myself. And so I'm just kind of curious. I feel myself kind of slipping away. I feel my understanding of what everyone else would call, like, I guess, reality or whatever. I feel like I'm kind of losing my grip, and here you are. You seem like you've gone through something similar, but you seem like you got it together. Do you understand what I'm saying?
I do. I've found myself that as we read the darker and deeper mysteries, it gets away from us from time to time, and can cause the mind to to blend in unfortunate ways. I I would say that part of the thing that keeps me kind of grounded is that there is a group of men here that that get together and discuss such things. Are you familiar with? Do you have occult societies back home?
Yeah, yeah. No, that's kind of common where I'm from.
So there's a group here that I've been very lucky to be involved with, called the British Tea Society. The Brits have a tendency to not call a thing what it is, and the British Tea Society is that. Mr. Turner founded it some years ago. He's been here for several years, and he he likes to meet and discuss esoteric things, and that helps me normally work things out over time. Not necessarily right away, but over time, it reminds me that this is the reality I live in, and it evens me out from time to time when I find something especially disturbing. I also find that my faith and my belief in the gods helps quite a bit as well. And while it may seem odd, I do follow the old Egyptian gods.
Look, I at this point, I'm that makes sense to me. If that one book you had says that the whatever it was overthrown by ISIS, or at least ISIS aided in, preventing whatever it was, then at this point that sounds like quite a reasonable thing.
Um, Perhaps I'm meeting with the members tonight for dinner. It's not an official meeting, but we're not just a club that discusses the esoteric. We are actually friends as well. Um, I'm I would be happy to um, communicate with them ahead of time. We are having a late dinner this evening, and see if they would feel comfortable with you coming along. I'm sure that given your family lineage, that it would not be nearly as problematic as perhaps other members of your group. I think that Miss Rumtree is fantastic. However, um, brashness is not a British trait.
I guess I can understand that. I mean, I'll be happy to come and meet your people, but honestly, I don't think that whatever we're going to fight. I mean, I've been doing pretty good, don't get me wrong. But I don't think whatever it is that we're going to end up fighting, that bullets are going to mean anything.
I think that there's potential for that to be correct, but I also know that there is also, even if bullets won't protect you from everything, they will protect you from some.
So, well, let me go ahead and just say it straight out. I'd like it if it, and I don't know what I need to do, but I'd I'd like you to train me, teach
Train
me
you in what exactly?
to face whatever it is coming. You said that there are protection rituals that you knew, or ways to fight, and and like I said, you seem to have a good head on your shoulders. You seem to not be terrified of what's coming.
Um,
I mean,
I do know a few things that might be helpful, but they will further stress your mind. There is no way to deal with this that does not involve stressing your mind further.
there's. Hmm.
Unfortunately, that is the case. I I don't like it any more than you do, but it is in fact the truth.
Well, one other thing I'd ask then. I mean, can you at least tell me maybe there's a way to heal this? And I show him the spot on my arm where it's the serpent scales.
Let me go pull up his page. Remember what he has spell wise. Egypt is a really big chapter. I mean, it is seriously like it is. So like it's 6 chapters in the book plus some preface and some stuff in the back. It easily takes up like a fifth of the book.
Gee
Like,
whiz.
it's seriously like it really is a lot of the information comes from there. Wow,
Okay.
I must have missed him. Hold on. Cairo. There we go. Okay, so oh, fantastic. The spells he has, I don't necessarily have access to. Let me see what I can do about that.
Oh.
They're in a book called The Lesser Grimoire, which is not one that I picked up. I don't think that I even have.
Oh man. Yeah, last time I was in a local gaming store not too far from here, I saw they had a 7th edition book of Magic now, essentially.
Yeah, but I love 7th edition.
Yeah.
In 7th edition, they don't go here. Well, in the base book, they don't go, here are the spells. They're like, here are the components of spells that might be a thing that you could look at later. And it is not nearly as helpful as it could be.
Yeah.
But I get what they're trying to do. It really wants you to give unique spells so that not everybody has the same exact thing. Oh, hey, okay, perfect. Nope, that's not going to do anything. Wizard Raw is no good. Seal of Isis. These are actually in the base 6th edition book.
Oh,
Or at least
there you go.
one is. We'll see if the other one is. Well, and the other problem is that the module we're running is written for. Nope, that's not over. It's written for a different. It's written for 4th edition, which is close enough to 6th edition that they didn't re-release it.
Mm.
And now we're playing 7th edition with essentially a 4th edition book.
Ooh.
Which isn't necessarily bad because I can convert stats. That's not a problem. But
Yeah.
it's stuff like this that throws things off. Hold on, I'm sorry. Forgot there's also like 8 pages of contact spells.
No problem.
Ugh. Nope, that's not going to do any good either. He he doesn't grab your arm so much as he puts his hand on you and kind of guides you over, and then those desk lamps that like Lampy from
yeah.
Pixar.
Yeah.
He pulls one over and then pulls out a magnifying glass and pulls your arm and starts looking at it. Lets go of your arm and then pulls out a letter opener and then kind of like picks at the scales lightly, not enough to hurt you,
Mhm.
but it's also not super comfortable either.
Yeah.
And he starts kind of like picking and pulling and like scrapes across it like you would like with fish scales, but not hard, just enough to see how it reacts.
Yeah, it's real.
How did this happen?
Have we shown you the picture of the paint? Yeah, I showed you the picture of the painting. Yeah, I did.
You did.
So there was an artist in London, and the guy, let's just say, made contact with things on the other side. I don't even know how to describe it. But the thing is that he used a painting that pulled me into, I think, another time.
Were there snakes there?
Yes, snake people specifically.
That's what I was concerned about. Let me see. He starts taking some thick notes about what he's seeing on your arm. He doesn't write down your name, so that's important and good. But he is noting doing what a good scientist should. He's noting consistency and. Oh wait, you don't read Arabic, do you?
No, I don't.
Arabic's his first language, so he's writing something in Arabic. He seems to be taking thorough notes in Arabic.
So,
And you don't know. Yeah, you don't have any language that's anywhere near Arabic, even. No.
but the thing is, so this guy pulled me into a painting, and honestly, I don't know how. I mean, something happened, and I came back. But the things in that painting tried to change me.
I see. Are you familiar with something called the Serpent People?
Not specifically, but I think I just met them. Or I met them
So-
there, I should say.
It is believed by others. I honestly don't understand the mythology, I guess is the best way to put it, around them. It's believed that before mankind was dominant on Earth, there was a race of intelligent, sentient serpent people. And that they're not from Earth originally, maybe. Or maybe they are. I'm not positive. There are rumors that deal with Atlantis that involve them, and there are also other rumors involving their time before that and their time during the time of the dinosaurs. So long before even the things that we study now here in Egypt, they supposedly were a dominant society.
Okay.
This would be the type of scaling that I have seen describing them. It's not quite snake-like. There are some things about it that are not clearly snakes.
Yeah.
As for healing it, I would cut it out. That's my best option. If it grows back, that could be something to look at, but I don't know. As a scientist, the best thing I would know to do is to remove it. But if it's just the skin, maybe it'll grow back correctly. And if it's not just the skin, then you have a deeper issue that is corrupting your body.
That's great to know.
One of my associates may know more about healing. That is not my particular. That's not my particular area of study. My study normally falls around protection, but it doesn't involve anything like this.
Are you certain that like none of the people in your society are part of the cult?
I would be exceptionally surprised if they were. I feel confident saying that I would not expect any of them to be members of any cult like that.
Well, if you say so, I'd be willing to meet them.
Let me give me just a second. He picks up the phone, he dials a number, and speaks briefly in Arabic. Seems satisfied and puts the receiver down. I am sending a messenger over to speak with Mr. Turner. He will let me know what he thinks, and as the president, if he thinks it's fine, then that's good enough. I will say, anyone that you meet here,
Mm-hmm.
you cannot discuss them as part of the society outside of this. They are not known outside of that. While it is the British Tea Society, the members you meet tonight, only one of them will be British. We have an Austrian and a Frenchman, and then an American woman. She's very interesting, an alienist. She will. Her position here is actually the one that is most likely to be impacted. Honestly, if my job found out that I was meeting with other people who believed in weird things, they might give me a raise. I think they expect it at this point.
Oh,
So I'm less worried about it, but all four of the other members that you meet tonight are would at bare minimum be scandalized, if not hurt deeply by them being revealed.
mum's the word. I won't. I promise. I won't reveal them.
Excellent. Let's so the book itself, the writings of Azif. Did you have questions about those, or just in general questions about
I mean,
esoteric matters?
to some extent, I've. How do you even describe it? So I had the opportunity to read a book once. In specific, a book called the Liber Ivanis. Talked about the even Wizard of Hyperborea.
So you read the French translation, or
The French translation, yes.
okay?
You're aware of it.
I am. It's one of the more common, and by common, not very, but it is one of the more common books that are available. Matt needs to pull out this book. There we go.
But so
it is one of the more common books that are available. It was translated enough and kept secret enough over time that it wasn't just destroyed outright. Originally, the book is called the Book of Ebon.
mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, hold on. No, that's not originally. The book that the book was originally called Liber Ivonis in Latin.
Mm-hmm.
You have read the French translation from the 13th century, I would assume.
Yes.
It is not fully complete, but quite close. And then there is also an English translation as well that's just as good, from the 15th century, called the Book of Ebon. Did you find any spells in this book?
Yes.
And did you commit yourself to learn them?
I don't know if I would say committed, but I do know them.
Have you tried them out yet?
Honestly, yeah.
And what did you think?
It's a very odd situation that happened. I did it while I was in the painting in the past.
I see.
And while I was there, it was like the spell worked naturally.
I see.
That's why I'm like, maybe I'm just being honest. I just want to learn. I was hoping maybe you could teach me something that would protect me, or at least something that might help us in fighting whatever this thing is.
So I am familiar with 3 spells, and I'm not sure that they are. I found in my research that there are 2 different types of things that we deal with.
Mm-hmm.
There are things here that are true magic, and they tend to take time. They tend to be easier on the mind, and they tend to be less powerful. And then there are what you probably have dealt with, which are magics that are not directly of our world. They tend to push hard on our mind, sometimes causing people to break. But also, they tend to be much more powerful and can be as quick as instantaneous. They can be very damaging and dangerous. And I wouldn't use those on a regular basis. The spells that I have learned are not those. They are what I would consider more anchored in our world. They're more ritual than anything, and they do have effect, but the effect is oftentimes to a lesser degree than what I would expect, and from something that's not of this world.
Mm-hmm.
And on top of that, they're mostly, the ones I have are all for some sort of protection or personal enhancement. I know that's a vague term, but that's the best I know to use. One of them, so the book I read them out of was very Egyptian belief based. So my spells have names that are Egyptian based. I wouldn't necessarily say that they are Egyptian in origin, just that this is the translation I have. Just as we talked about the Liber Ivanis, there are at least 3 different translations of it. Any one of them is similar but not the same, but they are the same essential book. So I have a spell which was called the Voice of Ra in what I read, that makes my presence more commanding and makes me better at interactions with other people. It's subtle, but it is definitely useful. And then I have something called the Seal of Isis, that protects objects from magical interference, and then something called the Chant of Thoth. Matt already lost that page. What's that book? I don't remember what Chant of Thoth is. Hold on a second. The Chant of Thoth is another protective spell. All 3 of them have, they drain you of your personal powers. They do affect you mentally, but as long as I don't use them too often, I don't find myself hurt by them.
Okay. Interesting.
So I could teach you those, but I'm not sure that that's what you're necessarily looking for. I know that my friends are more schooled in some items than others, but also I would state that if your concern is for your own health and safety, these are not necessarily good things to learn. If your concern is to make sure that you have the best tool set to deal with this mythos, they are tools, but those tools are quite dangerous. Imagine a wrench that stabs you every time you turn a bolt. That's what you'll be dealing with here. Part of the reason that you'll find that cultists don't seem to have the problem with that is they are already insane. You can't hurt your mind more when it's already too late.
Okay. Well, honestly, I would not mind learning at least something, but is there anything else? Maybe you have an idea of something that can, like an object that can fight these things, or object, I don't know.
I don't. I know there are items that are mentioned that are useful in such things, but I don't know how to create those, and I'm not sure anyone else does. I can look.
Okay.
I can look, and we can discuss it this evening with Mr. Turner and.
All right. Yeah. Oh.
And the others.
Absolutely.
He kind of grabs his coat and hat, says, perhaps it's time we can head that way. It's a good half-hour walk. And by the time we get most of the way there, I'm sure the messenger will come back and find us. That should not be a problem.
All right. Very good. Yeah. Sure.
So he takes you out of the museum. The museum is pretty much in the heart of the new city. And he starts heading down the road. There are a lot of other people out. It's not quite dark yet, but it is starting to dusk, and it's the cool part of the day. And this is, and by cool part I mean it's still freaking hot, but it's not like I just looked outside and I am now sweating because I know it's hot out there. This is also an age of no air conditioning, so sweat is not necessarily as prevalent as it is now for most people because they're just used to warmer temperatures by this time of season. Egypt just is never not hot, essentially. Yeah, Roxy, I think that's a great place for us to take a quick ad break if you wouldn't mind throwing one in right now, before we get to the dinner.
All right, no problem. See you back in about 10 minutes.
I don't know. However long the ad's gonna take.
Oh,
Maybe a minute,
maybe a minute,
maybe 30 seconds.
maybe 30 seconds.
Sure, that's fine.
All
Go
right.
for it.
All right. Yep.
Here we go.
All right, fantastic. So, hey, I know that nobody likes ads. Sorry, guys. First, we're just testing it out because it's a good night to do that. But also, there's a little bit of expense. Roxy's put a lot of time and effort into getting this whole game stuff set up, and bare minimum, Roxy deserves some pats on the back if she's cool with that, or
Bare
digital
minimum.
high fives. So,
High fives are great.
yeah. So you guys walk for a little bit and end up about halfway there. A younger, less-to-do man approaches and he speaks to the doctor briefly in Arabic. The doctor nods and says, "Good. Mr. Turner has agreed to meet with you. It will be unless they have left by the time we get there. Mr. Turner has not spoken with them yet, but we'll explain it before we get there. Mr. Klettgau of Austria will be there. Also, did I not give him a Captain?
Invasion.
What now?
Sorry, we had a cat walk past the camera.
Captain Beauchesne, a retired French captain from the French Foreign Legion. And Dr. Catherine Whittington, who is a medical doctor here in Cairo, although she has also been working at the sanitarium as an alienist.
Interesting. Can I grab a pen really quick?
Yes.
Sorry. So I've got Turner.
Yes.
Second name was
Klettgau, Klettgau. I'm going to have you roll just an intelligence check here in a minute.
all right. And the doctor?
Whittington.
All right, and then an intelligence check. Oh
Yeah.
boy. Oh dear God.
Yeah.
You want to come confirm this for me, Roxy?
Did you get a 1?
Oh God, no. I got 100.
Oh, good. You have no idea who any of these people are. You've never heard of them before at all.
Wonderful.
That's the best roll to make a crit fail on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the one you want to crit fail on. That's it. That is not the This is the perfect time to crit fail on something.
Yeah. I'm just like, oh, God.
So you arrive at the restaurant. It is it's a French restaurant of like a nice appointment. You would have to expect it's one of the more expensive restaurants in Cairo. You are led to a table with 4 other people. There is a skinny British-looking man. He introduces himself as Edward Turner,
Okay.
and then says, "I am president and founder of the British Tea Society." A kind of bearded, kind of squat man shakes your hand. He says, "I am Rudolph Klettgau, secretary of the society." A very proper and properly dressed in French attire, which is slightly different because it's more fashionable. He says, my name is Laurent Archambault Beauchamp, captain retired of the French Foreign Legion." And then a young lady, looks like she's maybe 30. She's youngest of the 4 by far. He says, she says, "I am Dr. Catherine Whittington of the Cairo Hospital."
Greetings. My name's, God. Because it's Robert.
Yes.
I'm Robert Blackwood.
Edward turns and says, "Of the American Blackwoods, correct?
Yes.
From
Carolina.
Carolina?
Yes.
I see. I've heard of your family. I can't say that I've met anyone, but welcome. Please have a seat. Relax.
Thank
We'll be getting our first course here shortly. So, Mr. Blackwood, tell me what the doctor. I'm sorry, Dr. Khafour mentioned that you would be coming, but he didn't quite explain what led you to us. What exactly brought you to Ali and the situation you're in?
I look over at Dr. Khafour. Is it safe enough to talk about all this here?
He says, this is the place to discuss these things. You are already at an advantage over the 5 of us. This will, at bare minimum, put Mr. Turner at ease.
I'm going, since everything here that's happening tonight is, as my understanding goes, secret, I'll share a few of mine. There was a man killed in New York. I came across his murder scene. His name was Elias. What was it?
Klettgau interrupts you. He says, "Jackson Elias?
Jackson Elias, yes.
He's dead?
Yes.
Oh, he's such a good writer. What happened?"
He was murdered by a cult operating out of New York.
I see.
They, I believe, called themselves the Bloody Tongue. And that's where I got involved in all this.
Boshin says that the Bloody Tongue, isn't that a cult out of Kenya?
Yes.
I've heard of them. I did not realize they were in New York.
There's a lot going on.
I see.
There's...
Go ahead.
Well, you have that, and then you have a cult that worships some sort of Dark Pharaoh or Black Pharaoh or something like that was operating in London.
And Catherine speaks up. She says, "Yes, they are also here. We've heard. There's some concern about that. They're dangerous, I believe."
Well, they were tied to a organization. Oh goodness, I can't even remember. Well, Edward Gavigan. Y'all aware of his name at least? Or?
Donors of the Penhu Foundation.
Yes.
Interesting.
And then you have here in Egypt. The fact of the matter is that we have reason to believe that all these cults are acting in alliance. I mean, that's they seem to all worship the same figure, and they all want that figure to come back.
They all seem concerned, but none of them speak up.
Is this surprising to any of you?
Klekau speaks up and he says, I've heard of, we're all aware of different cults, whether or not we believe that that particular cult exists at this time or is operating in the ways that people claim, or if they're just being ignored by most of society. We don't know much about them generally, but what we do know is they don't typically work together. And even when you have a cult, you're named after the thing you worship typically, or some variation thereof. And it makes no sense to say, well, this is the cult of one thing and this is the cult of another thing, and but they're the same. That doesn't work for most cults. That doesn't make any sense.
I understand that. But I do have this to at least corroborate some of what I'm saying. And I pull out a picture of the newspaper article that details the fall of the Miser House, I believe.
Edward Turner kind of puts on his glasses and reads over it just briefly. Yes, I did. I believe we received this in our newspapers as well, although it was not anywhere near the front page. This is very interesting.
So, essentially, that is why I am here.
Were you part of what happened here?
What do you mean by part of it? Like,
I mean, were you involved in exposing this?
To some extent,
the actions of these people.
Yes, to some extent, yes.
See.
But moreover, I'm more interested in making sure these actions come to a halt.
And that is what brought you to Alley.
Yes.
Let's see. Is there something that we can help you with this evening, or did you just wish to meet us and get to know us in fine company?
I'd like to get to know you, but honestly, I've got two things I'm looking for. I'm looking for, one, knowledge of how to stop this from happening, whether it's through esoteric means or otherwise. And the second is seeing if there's anyone present or in your company that might be able to help me with a certain issue. And I look over at Dr. Khafour. Is it safe to show that here?
Yes, please. They will.
And
quite interesting.
I pull back my sleeve and reveal the snakeskin on my arm.
Dr. Whittington gets up out of her chair and comes and stands next to you to look at your arm. She says, "No, this is quite interesting. I'm not familiar with any skills like this, gentlemen." And they all kind of get up and crowd around you. You clearly caught their attention.
I'll let them take it all in. Take it all in, guys.
And then after maybe a minute or two of the four of them kind of mumbling to each other, nothing. Oh, this is interesting. Oh, I can't. How did this even happen? I don't even. Mr. Turner stops, stands straight up, looks around. He says, "Perhaps we should take our seats," and goes and sits right back down. And the other three kind of do the same. Catherine takes out a small notebook and makes a couple of notes, puts it away, and she says, that looks interesting. I wouldn't know. Have you cut off any part of it before? How long have you had that?
A couple months. I think.
It's actually only been a couple of
Oh,
weeks.
sorry, a couple weeks at
Yeah.
this point, maybe a month.
And how did you just wake up and your skin was changed?
No, this is in my possession is a picture of a painting. A painting by a man who was entirely unhinged. He painted another painting, and I know this is going to sound crazy, but I was pulled into this painting. And in that painting, it was a scene I have been told by my companions it was a scene of the past, like long, long ago. And in that painting, there were these serpent people. And they began to cast spells, and to some extent, they were saying something like, "It is time for you to join us or rejoin us." I didn't understand the translation.
There was Mr. Turner speaks up. When I was in India, some of their beliefs spoke of creatures like that. I always dismissed them pretty quickly, but you dealt with, you saw them,
Yes.
and in this hallucination that you had, how long were you there?
I just look over at Dr. Khafour, kind of shake my head. I was there for a few minutes.
See,
Maybe a minute. I don't know.
do you correct him that about the hallucination?
I laughed at it when he said that. This wasn't a hallucination.
What do you mean?
This was real. You
But
you don't believe in this sort of stuff?
but what do you mean it was real? Are you saying you traveled through space and time?
I'm saying that, yes. As sure as that picture as is of an article that happened in London, yes. As sure as Jackson Elias is dead, yes.
The Turner and Gal kind of sit back and kind of fall into almost like a like deep thought. Boshin finishes his glass of wine and pours another,
Look, I know
and
that
then
this is.
it's a red. It's a French red.
I know.
I'm sorry.
No, I was going to say, look, I know this is disturbing, and I know that this is earth-shattering to some. I'm kind of surprised Dr. Khafour didn't seem that dismissive or shocked by it.
Mr. Turner speaks up and says, I don't think we're dismissing you, but that is a very powerful thing that you're describing. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying that it didn't happen exactly like you say it did, but to suggest that some insane artist in Egypt or in England can just do this, it's very dangerous.
Proof's in the pudding.
Have you contacted Scotland Yard about this? Even to give some sort of false story that would get him picked up.
Oh, they're gone. Well, they're gone. Look, everything in London is kind of wrapped up tight with a bow.
Do you tell them that there was also a snake person with the painter?
No.
Okay. So
he's locked up in a sanatorium, as far as I know.
I think you guys killed him, didn't you?
No. No, we locked him in a closet, and the police came and got him.
No, you're right. No, he's okay. Okay. Dr. Whittington leans forward and says, "So, you went to the past,
Yes.
and you came back, and your arm looked like this?
Yes. I think their intent was to change my whole body into that.
Did they touch you in any
No,
way?
they cast a spell.
I see.
they, I don't even know how else to say it. Yeah, they said some words and things started happening to my body.
Clickout leans forward and he says, "If I might know something that could potentially assist you, however, I know for fact it will not be pleasant." And he kind of holds his side over about halfway down on his side, right about where his ribs are, and he says, "It is less than pleasant. I would say it's excruciating would be a better way to describe it, but it can potentially remove corruption if that's what this is."
Unfortunately, if you're saying that it hurts a lot, but are you also going to say that it would also put me where I wouldn't be able to fight? I'd need a couple months recovering?
No, you might need a day or two. I know that you'll need at least a few good meals afterwards, hearty, heavy meals.
So be it. I think I'd be okay with that.
I wouldn't say it would leave you incapacitated. It might leave you a little winded from time to time for the first day or two. I didn't exactly go out and run a marathon after it happened to me.
Right now, my companions kind of need me. This isn't anywhere near over yet, and I'm pretty sure we got a fight coming, and it's probably coming here in Cairo, if not somewhere nearby.
Boshan sits up and says, with glass of wine in his hand, "You guys have gotten the first course. Everyone has picked at it, but Boshan has not touched it." It says, "I found that when dealing with hostile forces, if you can disrupt their leadership, sometimes that can scatter them.
Part of
But
yeah.
you also need to find where their true leadership is sometimes. If this is a cult, if these cults are working together, it's not any one cult that's leading this. There's some other leadership force involved here.
Oh,
You would have to find that."
yeah, and that's also who I'm here looking for. I mean, I might as well just go ahead and talk about it. 5 years ago, there was a expedition here. You might have heard about the entire group of them being supposedly devoured or killed or slaughtered in the desert.
Turk says, "Are you talking about the Carlisle expedition?"
Yes, that's it.
Yes, they did disappear in Kenya.
And they're not dead.
Presumed to be dead. They're not dead.
They're not dead.
Have you seen them?
There is pictorial proof of one of them, and there's written proof of others. And there is a witness who saw them survive whatever it was that happened.
I see.
So yeah, they're alive. And
if I remember correctly, they were at Needham, looking at the collapsed pyramid.
Yeah, but they're not there anymore.
Obviously, weren't they part of? Weren't they funded by the Penny Foundation as well?
Yes.
Boshan says, "Isn't there an expedition out at Memphis as well that's currently being funded by the Penny Foundation?"
Yes, with certain artifacts already going missing, yes. Including a certain mummy that may or may not have something to do with the defeat of a character or somebody known as Snifferoo.
You mean Nitocris?
Nitocris, or yeah.
Sorry. Dr. Whittington says, Nitocris is from like the 8th dynasty, isn't she?
Yeah, something like that.
she supposedly was some powerful sorceress that caused problems and brought back the cult of the Black Pharaoh. That was
Yeah.
my understanding.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, this is all adding up. I'm hoping here for y'all.
there are Edward Turner. There are a lot of. You presented a very large problem to us, and I feel like there may be more than you are aware.
I'm not doubting that because
Yeah.
God knows I feel like the entire thing is bigger than we know because they're everywhere. And that's not just me saying that out of some fear that I got to watch my back, which I do. But no, they're literally everywhere.
Boshan, who has finished what looks like his fourth glass of wine, says, but these are all men. Men can be killed with guns.
They're men, but they also have aligned themselves with something that is not men. And there are people amongst their numbers that are able to use things that I don't understand. And that's why I'm here. Because I don't think bullets are going to stop them in the end.
So what exactly are you looking for? Do you have an idea, or
Answers. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know if there's... What is it, ultimately, what was it that ISIS and whoever it was that teamed up with Snifferu, what was it that they did that stopped Nitocris? Or whatever, however this all phrases out. I mean, I'm at kind of my... I'm kind of pushed to my limits here. I mean...
I would, Edward Turner says, I would give us, between Allie and the rest of us, we have books at our disposal. We may be able to look into this. Give us a day or two to research this, and we may have better answers, but I'm not sure how accurate they will be.
Be safe. Because quite frankly, I don't know how much time we have, and if y'all have any way to protect yourselves, I would. I mean, you say that you're not known beyond the walls or whatever, that you're even looking into this stuff, but I can tell you that I can't remember the name of the place, but it was a artifact place or whatever on the Street of Jackals, and more than likely they're not around either right now if the cult's already here.
Do you have any leads on who might be involved in the cult?
I do, but that's something that I want my people to take care of. I mean, I'm more than willing to talk with y'all, and if you want to meet up with us as a group and us deal with this together, that's fine. But what we're about to do, if y'all are, especially with y'all residing here, because I can tell you that they are a powerful figure in the society of Egypt.
Well, we each can contact our respective groups. I'll speak with the ambassador. Edward Turner says, I'll speak with the ambassador, see if he knows much about this. And I will make sure to, you won't be mentioned. There won't be any mention of you or any connection with us. But we can start looking into this. I know that each of us have our own circles that we can kind of pull information from. If we come across anything that will help you, we will be happy to lend that assistance. Let us know what we can do.
Well, research what you can, because right now, whatever it is, I don't know what the time frame even is. But something is definitely happening. You know, and honestly, it's happening everywhere. So I'm not even certain that we're going to stay here in Egypt. We might be gone in a couple days.
Is there a place we can reach you?
Worst comes to worst, and just send word to my lawyer. And
No, is there a place we can reach you here to get you information?
Yes. And I'm figuring we have some kind of drop point picked up, like maybe, or I know we have a second hotel.
Yeah.
So I'll give him the information of the second hotel because we can always go by the lobby and get information from there.
Okay, that sounds good.
So
let us research this a little bit. We'll let you know. Kletgau says, do you want me to cleanse your wound?
Yeah.
I mean, obviously not here. We would need to retire to at least my home, if nothing else.
Yeah, I do. But give me time to think about it. Because honestly, like I said, I don't know what's coming down the road at us right now. If something's happening the next day or two, then I can't be down. I have to be prepared. So I appreciate and I'm very thankful for the offer. And I'm quite honestly overjoyed.
Well, Turner says it's been a pleasure to meet you, Mr. Blackwood. Dinner has kind of passed by over this time. The conversation has taken a lot longer than it obviously has between us because it was between bites and people were thinking things over. And the meal has passed. By this time, Boshin looks like he should be 3 sheets to the wind, but he seems fine. Kletgau and Turner have both finished a couple of glasses of wine each. Only Dr. Whittington and Dr. Khafour have barely touched theirs, but they've drank enough that they should feel the effects as well. None of them seem all that affected. Turner stands up, or Turner says, "I don't wish to rush you off. However, I also feel like, as you said, time is of the essence, and getting home and running through what books I have would be a good first step, so that by the time I'm able to speak with the ambassador tomorrow, I will have at least part of this started."
Very good. Oh, another thing. One last thing. What was that guy's name? The god at the site, the dig site.
The guard? Oh,
yeah. Martin.
Martin, yeah, Winfield Martin.
Yeah, Martin Winfield.
There you go.
Watch out for him.
And he's at the Clive expedition?
Yeah.
I don't think any of us have had, Turner kind of looks around and they all shake their heads. I don't think any of us have had any interaction with him. We don't usually get involved with digs, but if he comes around, we will all keep that in mind.
Yeah, I get the feeling that he's definitely leaning towards the bad side with the Penhew Foundation.
I see. Well, it has been a pleasure, Mr. Blackwood. If there's anything else that you need, especially any kind of goods that you're having trouble getting a hold of while you're here in Egypt, please let me know. I'll be happy to see what I can do about procuring those for you.
Thank you very much. And I'll honestly shake their hands if they'll allow it.
Oh yeah. Each of them will shake your hand. Yeah.
Cool.
Fantastic. I think that's a great place for us to end this. Actually.
Yeah.
Went about as long as I expected. Hooray!
Yep. So that was an interesting journey down a rabbit's hole.
Yeah. So we are back next week with our regular play of Illuminated Page. Bobby will. I don't know. Maybe he'll die. Maybe he won't.
Maybe I won't.
We'll find out next week.
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
But yeah, tune into that. And then in 2 weeks, I don't think we have a plan quite yet due to the current shelter-in-place orders. But I think we're going to figure it out as we go.
Yep.
So thank you guys for listening, and we will we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye. Take care, guys.